Hello, West Branch students. Today, I want to give you another little creative challenge. So, this time, what we're going to be making is kind of an abstract maze. So, if you look really closely in some of these areas, there's actually a little opening within each of the black lines. This maze follows a rainbow order color scheme, so it's easier to kind of see each section. And then this one I'm also working on. I'm not quite finished yet. You can still see I'm still coloring, but it follows a red and white color scheme, making it easier to see it. But they are both mazes, so they have a starting point. You have to go through the whole thing to find the opening in the next color, and etc. It keeps repeating. So we're going to start with that today. The first shape is going to be the smallest shape. We're going to start in the middle and kind of work our way out from there. So as I said, it is abstract, which means it's not realistic. It doesn't have to look like anything. So when we start with our shapes and as we kind of build out from there, they don't really need to look like any specific thing. By the way, I'm using a Sharpie. I would encourage you to use whatever you feel comfortable with, and then you do need a piece of paper. It doesn't have to be white. It could be any color you have. But I'm going to start with my center shape. And as I'm drawing this, I need to make sure that I leave an opening. I almost forgot this time. We have to leave that opening space. And then I can move on to the next layer. If you have multiple different sizes of Sharpies or markers, that's kind of fun too. Even if you had two different sizes of markers or if you wanted to use two different materials, it's fun to be able to see it. So to avoid that near mistake from happening again, for my next opening, I'm going to add a couple of little lines like this. This time I know, okay, that's where that opening is going to be. My design is going to have to kind of go around that. So my first layer, that design is you know, it has a lot of like pointed kind of tougher edges. So I'm going to make this one a little bit more like organic and bulbous, I think. So it doesn't have to like hug the other design. It can kind of go in different directions or kind of branch out in different ways. But notice I don't want to pick up my pen or my Sharpie or whatever I'm using. Oop, I just did. If I do that, I just need to make sure I kind of line it back up and I can keep going and make sure I stop at that same point. So I think this looks kind of cool to have that contrast. So I'm going to move this Sharpie off to the side and go back to this one again and do the same thing. So I want to make my opening first. I think it's going to be right there this time. And maybe instead of doing the bulbous kind of shapes again, I'm going to go back to kind of some of those tougher pointed edges and kind of alternate between those two styles. Notice I could just do some straight lines. I could just kind of block around, or I can create some of those cool points. Maybe it is going to curve in some spots. That looks kind of cool. It kind of reminds me of like fire and stuff, so I kind of enjoy it. Not that I love fire, but it's just kind of something interesting. So I'm going to go like that, and then maybe it's going to come back in and connect. So that's the second space. And I probably, let's see, when I was working on this one, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different sections. I would say no less than that. So I've got 3. Let's see, I think I'm going to bring my opening over here. And again, I get to work on my kind of more bubbly design. I like this one a little bit better. For me, I think it's easier to kind of work freely and not think too much when I get to create kind of these curved lines. But you might think the other way. You might feel like you like the pointed ones better. So that section's done. Switch back to this Sharpie, my opening, and go ahead and start working. Okay, I'm following that design a lot. I want to kind of deviate a little bit. So I think I'm going to go off this direction. And I'm going to add like a little curve that kind of comes out. Do the same thing here. Notice how I'm kind of getting close to that edge, so I have to be careful. I can go off the paper, but I don't want to just yet, not with this section. So I'm going to bring that around. Ooh, that's looking kind of cool. Okay, maybe I'm just going to do some straight up zigzags and kind of spread my design out and then bring it back there. I like this. I love the way that it's kind of evolving. Okay, Again, I can switch back, I can keep adding more colors or more sections. But yeah, we're just going to keep going. We're making kind of this like maze. You know, it could follow this same scheme if you want to, kind of more pointed edges and then more rounded edges, or you could just do kind of random things. I like this one. It has some kind of weird things. This looks like a windmill or something. Again, it's just supposed to kind of challenge you to be creative. You don't have to think too much about it. Just have fun.